I can clearly remember some of the issues that I had been dealing with in the past years of my life. One of them being video games, one of them being porn and junk food, one of them being shit people around me, one of them being spending time on social media too much, one of them being afraid of missing out on all these kinds of different things, one of them being having a shit relationship with my family. I just come to like seven things off the top of my head. There are things in which I remember very clearly from my younger years, from even several months ago. I can remember from this very specific issue that I'd been dealing with and that I still, to some extent, am fixing. And that is me not being authentic enough, especially around other people in school, in all these kinds of other social settings. And so over the past year and a half, ever since I started self improvement, and I started actually being very conscious of the actions that I was taking, the way that I was using my brain, and the ways that my mind has been working, and the fact that I've been almost journal like five entire notebooks worth of thoughts regarding how I could deal with problems, how I should deal with my problems. And here I came up with six principles that I believe will help you. Six principles that have helped me personally and that I believe and I truly believe that they can help me. I'm not talking out of my ass here. This is not a ChatGPT script. I didn't just paste this into ChatGPT and tell them, okay, give me six things that uh, people could use so they can get out of problems. I didn't do that. I sat on my ass and I thought and I journaled about this. And there are six principles to this which I believe will help you. If you're going through any kind of problems in your life, these are principles that I believe have a good, important meaning for you to follow them. There are things that I've learned the hard way, very rarely the easy way, because, as you're a young kid, you rarely ever, even in your adult years, you don't tend to just take other people's word for granted, even if it's something that might actually be useful. And so you'd rather just feel the pain, feel the burn on your own skin so that you can come to the conclusion that, yeah, the saucing pan is fucking hot as shit and I shouldn't touch it. And remember when you're a kid and somebody's telling you, don't touch that, it's fucking hot. Don't eat that, it's fucking hot. And you as a small dumbass, I don't know, maybe you didn't do this, but I did. I would just touch it. I fucking touch it. I eat the soup, even when it was fucking boiling, right? Because here we have like a very bad tendency to just almost boil the soup and then just serve it in bowls and be like, yeah, there you go, eat it. And so I'd always just get burned, and then it was only then that I could tell myself that, yeah, it's actually burning and that I should just wait until it cools down. And so these are principles that I've learned the hard way to some extent. There are also things that I believe I've reached conclusions about while journaling about them, thinking back on older experiences and realizing that the way that I overcame them, or the way that I should have overcome them, is through these exact principles. And so I'm not going to waste your time anymore. The first principle that I believe will help you face your challenges, face your problems, face any kind of hardship in your life, and this is truly universal, by the way. The first one is that you hold partial blame for all of your problems. You always have a say in the issue, no matter how small, no matter how big it is, no matter the size of the issue, no matter the gravity of the issue. If it's in your life, then you have a say in it. And to some extent, this won't be a huge say. Sometimes you won't have a great deal of influence in an issue, but you'll still have something. You'll still have something which will be able to somehow influence the problem in a positive manner. A lot of us seem to think that we are completely faultless in what's going on, that we are completely innocent in everything that we're doing, and that we do not deserve any of this, and yet we still have it, so we're just victims. But we don't understand that in almost every single deal, every single little thing in our lives, we have a say in it. There is a reason why we have a say in it, by the way. And that is because we are partially part of the issue. We are part of that issue to some extent, to a bigger or lesser extent. And this is something that a lot of people won't want to understand because it's something that is painful to hear. I know. I mean, again, these are these are principles that I've learned the hard way. I've learned the hard way that I was part of the issue so many different times when I thought that I was just against everyone and everyone was against me, and the problem itself, it was just being thrown down on me, and that I had nothing to do about it. It just felt much easier to just have to deal with things that way. Because now you are not part of the problem. You're not a part of it. So why should you bother to fix it? It's somebody else's problem. It's somebody else's deal. You remember, and maybe you even see this now, when somebody throws the trash on the ground or somebody does anything and somebody else is told, or they hear the advice of, hey, you should pick that up, right? You should pick that up and throw it in the trash. And they're like, no, it was not me. Why should I do it? Oh, it was some random guy. I'm not going to do it. I always thought to myself, what a dumbass, bro. It's a piece of trash on the ground that it's not even like dirty or anything. You can just pick it up nice and safely without like getting any fucking killer bacteria. You can just get that. You can throw it in the bin and you'll make the place much nicer. No, it's not my fault, bro. No, it's his fault. Like, that is so much easier to go through. That is so much easier to believe than it would be to just actually take a bit of responsibility and go and pick up the trash and throw it in the bin. It's much easier just sitting on this chair right here and just telling you that it's not my fault for all the problems that happen in my life. That all of the things that have happened and that I used to believe were my fucking issues, and that, again, even though they were my issues, everyone else was guilty for them, but not me. It would be so much easier for me to just sit here and say that. And yet I'm telling you that I had a say in every single little problem that had happened in my life. Every single little issue, every big issue that I had in my life, I had a say in it. I have a say in everything that's going on in my life. Like, that is something that you need to drill inside your brain because it will help you move on with your life. We are personally fully responsible for our lives, right? And that includes our problems. We are personally fully responsible for everything that's going on in our lives. No if and when, no none, nada. We are responsible for everything that goes on in our lives. There's no way around it. And this can feel quite liberating, or it can feel very, very pressuring and negative. And there's one simple reason for that. It's because of the actions that you're taking right now. If you hear the statement, which is a fact to some extent, that we are responsible for our lives entirely, that it's our fucking responsibility and nobody else's. If you hear that and you've been doing the hard work, you've been going to the gym, you've been eating clean, you've been taking care of your health, you think to yourself, I am responsible for my health and I'm actually taking it seriously. I am actually being responsible for my health. But if you were to go to somebody who just finished drinking like 1 liter of Coca-Cola or some shit, of some stupid sugary shit, of some chemicals, of some really, really questionable food, and you're just telling them you're responsible for your actions, you're responsible for every single thing that happens to you, they're going to jump in your face and they're going to tell you, no, you're not, no, it's somebody else's fault because, oh, this is cheap, and I'd rather buy this instead of buying some very expensive food and having to go with that, even though it's higher quality and has less chances of fucking you up. It's much easier to just act as if it's somebody else's fault. It's always everyone else's fault, but not yours. Taking accountability for all of the issues in your life, it will impact your pride. It will very much impact your pride because, Haven't you heard all those times, when you had your teacher, tell you, pick up that piece of trash, and you were telling the teacher, with this butthurt attitude that, oh, no, no, it was not me. It was this guy, or it was that guy, or whatever, right? At least it happened to me. And they'd still tell you, I don't care. Pick it up. And you'd go there, all butthurt, and you pick it up and you throw it in the trash and be like pissed off like a little fucking kid all day, right? That's because your pride got hit, because your ego of you being this innocent victim got burned, and you were told it just got shattered for a moment. For a moment before it rebuilt up stronger than before, it got shattered by a teacher or some authority figure who told you, I don't care, pick it up. And so taking accountability will hurt. It will always hurt. It is not something that you can just fairly go through, but I believe that it is something that you can train to some extent, that you can train in order to make it be less effective of you. If you go through a lot of mistakes, if you do a lot of mistakes, let's say in your job, in your career, wherever you are, if you're playing a team game of any sort, a team sport, you're bound to make mistakes. And if you start being accountable for the mistakes that you make and the mistakes that other people make, that that you have a influence in those mistakes, that you have a say, you have a part in what's going on. If you start placing accountability on yourself to the extent that you will work harder in order to prevent that issue and make sure that things are going to be better. If you do that, the first few times, it will feel painful, because it means that you have to take responsibility for your own failure, and that means that there might be people pointing their fucking fingers at you, telling you, oh, what did you do wrong, and you did this wrong and shit. And by you saying, yeah, you're right, I did this wrong, I'm sorry, by you giving a simple apology, by you just simply admitting the fact that I did this wrong, that I fucked this up, that will hurt your pride, that will hurt your ego. But the more that you do it with things that you truly messed up on, like mistakes that were only yours, and maybe, you actually take accountability for your part in other people's mistakes. Now, once you do that, the level of pain that happens with each pride breaker, as I'd like to call it, every pride impact, every punch to your pride, that pain just starts to numb down. Because now you are no longer always being so drawn to the idea that I am always innocent, that I'm always the victim in everything that's going on, that there's nothing else that could prove me wrong. Now, once you prove your own self wrong, once you prove your own mind wrong, it will hurt. But again, by training that, this is something that you can train by admitting to the problem, admitting the fact that I fucked this up, admitting the fact that I could have done this better, admitting the fact that there's more that I can do. That will fix the issue itself. It will hurt. It will make your pride feel like shit for a decent amount of time. But again, you can train it, and you can make it happen to the extent where it doesn't even feel that bad anymore. Where you're much more willing to just take accountability and respect other people when you've done a mistake, when you've made a mistake. And that is something beautiful to go through, and it will help you cooperate with other people. It will help you cooperate with your own mind. Once you understand how this works, and you understand the fact that by taking accountability, you are 1,000 times more likely to fix the issue that you're dealing with. I'm not bullshitting you. By just simply taking accountability for an issue and trying your best to fix it, you are going to find solutions to the problem that you wouldn't have otherwise found, just sitting on your ass like this big little bitch, acting like a little bitch, acting like you're just a victim, and that everyone else is wrong, but you're just a victim. You're not gonna find any kind of solutions. But once you tell yourself, I am part of the people who've done wrong here, I take part of the blame, or full blame if it's just me, and I'm gonna fix it. Now that gives you room to grow. That gives you room to expand. as opposed to just being the victim and always just shrinking your walls in. Now you're expanding, you're going over your comfort zone. Now you're expanding your comfort zone as well. And you have to keep doing that and keep doing that, keep expanding. I have an example very correlated to this that I think will help you out. In school and in handball practice several years ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, I believe. I say several, but it's kind of in this time zone, right? 1 or 2 years ago, in that period of time, I was getting bullied in school, in general school, and sometimes in handball practice. You see, I had all these kinds of people just talking shit behind my back, just acting like absolute cunts for no reason. To be completely honest, they had like little to no reason for it. I thought so. But I realized that they did have reasons, although they were not ethically correct reasons as to why they should bully someone and make them feel like shit for years and give them some sort of trauma as well. They had the reasons, and the reasons was that I was not standing up for myself. They were testing the limits that they could go to with me. The first times that they started talking shit, I should have just shot back at them and ruined them. Right then and there, I should have just shut their mouths. But I didn't. I just let them keep talking shit, and I let them get more aggressive. I let them be more pushy. And that's how it just degenerated into a full-blown conflict between us, in which I was the one constantly losing. I was the one afraid of that conflict, and they were the ones that they were actively seeking that conflict. And all of this happened just because I was not taking accountability for what was going on. Just because I was always acting like I was the little bitch in the situation. And to some extent, you could think that I was. To some extent, I was that little bitch. And yet, I should have taken responsibility for that. And I should have just told myself, I'm a little bitch, but this is what I'm going to do to fix that. I'm going to fucking stand up for myself. I'm going to give those guys a reason to fucking stand down. And I'm going to impose some fucking dominance on them. I'm going to shoot back. I'm going to fight. I'm not just going to let some other people take my ground. Bring me to their fucking level and under. Make me feel inferior. Make me feel like a piece of shit. Every single day. It was my fault. The fact that this situation affected me the way that it did and left me with trauma that I had to fix during my self-improvement journey. It's my fault. If I had taken responsibility and accountability for myself back then, none of this would have been as bad as it is now. Maybe it would have just been another memory that I can barely remember because, it never got any worse. Because I fixed it. I fixed the situation right when it started. Right? I fixed the issue right when it was growing. I just stopped its growth. And it was just a random deal that nobody cares about. But no, I let that degenerate into such a hard issue that I had to deal with for a long time. Destroying my self-confidence, destroying my self-esteem, destroying all the good beliefs I had about myself for a while. It's all on me. It's all because I was not taking the right actions towards fixing the problem. I was just acting like I was the victim in the situation. I hope that makes sense. In the end, we are all responsible for the atrocities that the world commits. I know this is quite a bit of a point changer, but think about it. By me not taking responsibility for the fact that I was getting bullied and the fact that it left me with trauma, imagine somebody else out there. I was lucky enough to not go through this, but imagine somebody else out there who's going through this, who has suicidal thoughts, who is literally thinking of killing themselves. And they end up throwing themselves in front of a train. This is a very, very extreme example, but I feel like it has its worth here. Take a situation when this is happening primarily because of the fact that this person has been getting bullied for such a long time that they've destroyed their lives completely. And that now the only way that they feel they can go out of this misery is by taking their own life. That is an atrocity. That is an atrocity at its finest. And we are responsible for that. You know, every single time that we saw that person in school, because let's not bullshit ourselves, it happens, doesn't it? We see that person in school getting bullied. We see that person getting talked shit behind their backs. We see that person just being pushed around like a fucking, I don't even know what to call them, like a fucking mannequin. As if they had no life, as if they're just a dog, just some filth that everybody can play with. We saw that and we never did anything about it. We just let that slide and we just turn our heads around. We talk to our desk mate and we completely forget about it. We'd forget about anything that was going on. And then we'd act shocked and scared and oh my god, well, how could this happen? When the guy out there, the kid, 2 meters away from you, took his own life. When he threw himself in front of a fucking train, spreading his entire fucking body on the railway. That is an atrocity that you helped happen. And I know this is quite extreme, but you need to understand that to some extent, again, no matter how big or how small, we all contribute to the problem. And you could say that most of the blame could be put on them, but at the same time, you don't have a fucking reason to just act as if you're innocent in this. Because you are part of the fucking blame. Just as I would be, if I were in a situation, I wouldn't say anything. We are all part of the fucking blame. Imagine the 20th century. Nazi Germany, communist Russia. The atrocities, the fucking millions of people that died. Because the common person was too scared to say anything. Because the common person would rather live in ignorance than to stand up and to bring the other people around them together with them. Because of this pussy mindset that we should all just always just mind our own problems, just focus the other way around. We don't understand that this is also part of our problem. We are part of the problem. We should mind that problem. This is how the atrocities of the 20th century, the millions and millions, the tens of millions of people that died, happened. From small lies that people started believing that some people knew that they were wrong, but they just turned their eyes away because they would rather not get involved. Turning into bigger lies, and those lies getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they get to the point where they're such huge, dangerous lies that they end up killing millions and millions of people. Just because the random common folk or the random common person who had some authority over the issue when it was small, and even when it was big, even when the issue was at its most dangerous state, all the people who had authority over the issue, and that is literally everyone, all of them, they turned their eyes away. They turned their head around. They didn't want to look at that. And so they'd rather live in the ignorance and the common comfort that all those people felt just living in this sense of ignorance while people were dying in the Holocaust, while people were dying in Nazi concentration camps, being worked to death, being gassed, being burned in fucking furnaces, being shot like dogs in fucking Soviet gulags, getting worked to death, getting fucking starved to death, getting beaten to death. In all those other fucking places, because it's not just two. There's also like so many other fucking atrocities that were committed just because people simply refused to take action. People simply refuse to understand and to believe the fact that they are part of the issue. You are partially responsible for the atrocities committed. No matter if they're huge, if it's the Nazi Holocaust, if it's the gulags, or if it's a random person out there going through a tough time in their life who ends up killing themselves, or who ends up doing something bad to themselves or to other people. That is still an atrocity. And you are part of the blame. I am part of the blame. We are all part of the blame. 99% of our lives are our own problem. 99%, like, that is the hugest percentage. Out of 100 problems that you will be facing, 99 of them will be your problems. Your fucking problems. One of them will be one problem that you couldn't have done anything to. It would have been one problem that you didn't have any say in. Maybe that's something that you were born with. Maybe it's something that there's a lot of circumstances that go into this. And yet it's one problem out of 100, which is something that I believe it is truly somebody else's fault. It's something truly out of your control. But the rest of them, the 99 of those problems out of those 100, they are under your thumb. That you could have controlled. To some extent, you could have avoided, at least on your end. Maybe it's like a huge problem that you cannot fully destroy. At least you can avoid it. You can prevent it on your extent and the extent of your family, the extent of your loved ones. And yet we refuse to believe that. We refuse to believe that there are things that we have control over. There are problems out there. There are hard things. There are fucked up things that we actually have a say in order to change it. Sometimes we're even part of the fucking problem. Again, throwback to the time where I was getting bullied in school that left me with trauma. I was part of the problem. I was not doing anything about it. I was partially creating the problem. If I had done something about it, I would have fixed the issue. If you have somebody that's annoying the fuck out of you, and you're not doing anything about it, and you're just acting like you're the victim because that person is just annoying and they're just destroying your life and your time, it's your fucking fault because you're not saying anything about it. Stop acting like you're fucking special. It's part of your fault. The problem is you're part of the problem, right? That's what I meant to say. The second principle that I believe will help you move through those problems in your life, which is quite unrelated to the first one, yet I believe it holds great value to people. And that is the fact that stress makes you stronger, that stress grows you. This could be something that you would tell yourself on a daily basis. When you're going through some sort of problem, even when it feels like it's something unnecessary, even when it feels like it's some unnecessary suffering that you're going through, simply reminding yourself that me coming out of this, me living one more day with this issue, and standing strong and not letting this issue get the best of me, I will come out of that as a stronger human being. I will come out of this as a stronger, more built, better built individual. It will grow me. It gives higher meaning to some seemingly useless suffering that we all seem to go through to some extent or the other. When there's some problem that just simply arises and it's getting at us, it's really getting at us, and yet at the same time, it just seems like it's a useless problem. It just seems stupid. It's so easy to just sink yourself and drown yourself in that misery of it's fucking useless. It's useless suffering, but yet it's happening and it's ruining me. Or you could think to yourself, great, this is another fucking opportunity for stress to grow me. This is another opportunity for me to face stress head on and get growth out of it. I have a really interesting example for this as well. I remember several months ago, maybe a year ago in school, we were getting bombarded with homework. We were getting bombarded with all these kinds of stupid school tasks, which literally made no sense. They were just useless. More than 75% of my class would be copying those fucking things off from other people, right? They would just be in the break before the class where the teacher would come and check the homework. They would literally just be fucking copying it from other people. Absolutely no care in the world whatsoever. You might think to yourself, yeah, well, they did well. It was like a useless task anyway. It was like something that genuinely had no reason to be there. And maybe to some extent you could say, you know, I was a dumbass myself because I believed that this would grow me, that me putting in the fucking work, me even taking the time to do this one simple thing that I believe is useless, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Because I'm gonna discipline myself to do it anyway. I'm gonna stress myself out over it. I'm gonna stress myself. I'm gonna spend 2 extra hours doing homework because this is gonna stress me out and this is gonna make me grow as a person. Maybe this is something that you haven't gone through, but this is something to think about. I could have simply just decided to be like all the other kids, and just like the 75% of my class and just copied the shit from other people, from the smart kids who were doing their homework. And yet I didn't do that. And yet I was spending 2, 3 extra hours just studying for stupid fucking tests, which never even happened. Like, I remember studying for one test twice, I think. Like, 2 hours each study session, like 4 hours for this one test that never happened. And at some point I was getting pissed off. I was like, are we not gonna have this test? Am I literally just studying? Am I just wasting my fucking life here? I thought to myself, no, you're not wasting your life, man. Wasting your life is just fucking scrolling through your phone in that time, just scrolling through your ass like that. No, I was not wasting my time. I spent those 4 hours, let's say 4 hours, studying, stressing out over this. And at the end of those 4 hours, I came out a better person because I knew how I could focus better. I knew that I needed to discipline myself when I felt as if things were getting hard, and when I felt like things were not gonna work out. I had to discipline myself. I had to give myself the willpower to say, no, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna do it anyway. And so at the end of those 4 hours, I came out with something much more valuable than some random people who saved time, fucking spending it on their fucking phone, scrolling like that on TikTok, going out with people that didn't give a fuck about them, eating some fucking bullshit food, watching some bullshit movie, playing fucking video games, bro. No, instead of doing that, I spend that time focused and working towards solving this stressful problem. And I got out of it, and it grew me as a person. And so again, you might not relate to this, but I feel like this has great value for a lot of people out there. It helps you digest, and it helps you accept some hardship that's going on in your life. For me, this was the period of my life where I would come back home at, let's say, 6, 7 p.m. and then I just start doing homework, and I'd be doing homework until 1 a.m. I'd literally be on my fucking chair, just sitting and doing fucking homework until 1 a.m. in the morning, and then waking up at 6 a.m. just so I could get up 1 hour earlier so I could do my morning exercises. So I could have my push-ups and everything that I wanted to do before going to school. At that time, I remember literally tearing up at like 1 a.m., nearing 2 a.m., and I just finished this, and I think to myself, this was a fucking waste of my time. I fucking hate myself for doing this. Like, why do I feel the need to do this? Tearing up, almost fucking getting really pissed off, like jealously crying about it, right? Then I would think to myself, yeah, you did this, but at the same time, you built a fucking discipline. I mean, how many people would spend God knows how many hours after school, tired, up until 1 a.m. just studying? And now it shows in my life. Now it shows, where I see myself, it shows that now I'm much more capable of focusing on things better than all those other fucking content who were, at that time, they were either playing video games, they were sleeping. I mean, sleep is good, right? Don't get me wrong. Sleep is fucking good. If you want health, then fucking get sleep, right? And yeah, maybe they would have been sleeping, or maybe they were literally been out, I don't know, at a fucking bullshit party getting drunk. I was there fucking focused. I was there focused on that shit. denying the bullshit thoughts that were arriving in my head to just tell me, oh, don't do it. Just don't stop. Just go to sleep, bro. Go to sleep. Come on. I was denying that shit. I was telling myself, no, I'm going to do it. I don't care how long. I don't care if I'm going to be here up until the fucking morning. I'm going to do it. And so that's what I did. And I knew that I would come out a stronger person. And I look back on it now. And I can guarantee you that I came out a stronger person out of that issue. So stress grows you. Whenever you feel like there's something that just doesn't feel like it's making sense, or when you're going through a tough situation and it's very stressful, just understand that that stress, it will grow you. That stress will get you far. That stress will turn itself into beautiful opportunities for the future. But don't overdo it, right? This is something that I need to really clarify. That you should not overdo this. Like, you must not overdo this, because long-term stress, that's when it becomes very, very bad. You know, when you have like some short to medium term stress, that's when you can kind of handle it. That when it works. But when it's long term, when it's years long of just stress and stress and stress, and you don't seem to see a way out of it, don't proceed with that anymore. Try to get out of that stress. Try to destroy that stress as fast as you possibly can. But when it's something that's short term, maybe you're going to the gym and you have a set that you don't want to do, but you're going to do it anyway and feel stressed out over it, that's when you think to yourself, by the end of this set, I'm going to feel amazing, and I'm going to have made just a tad bit more progress, which is going to make me stronger. By the end of this, me studying for all these exams, which were kind of very tiring, and nobody else was doing it, but I was doing it, I was focused on it. At the end of those things, I came out a well-focused person who knew how he could learn, who knew how he could study, who knew how he could do things properly, who had very much fixed his attention span. This is something valuable. Who had very much fixed his attention span up to the point where he could stay up until 1 a.m. in the morning studying. Now, that is something that a lot of people would like to aspire to. And I got that just by simply telling myself that I'm not going to bullshit myself, I'm going to do it. And you'll be more likely to pursue challenges and discomfort when you know that stress is growing you. When you know that this short to medium term stress is actually going to grow you and it's actually going to help you. When you know that, you're actually going to be more likely to pursue the things that give you a bit of stress when it's something painful, when it's going to the gym, when it's going on a run, maybe when it's talking to this person, when it's doing this, when it's doing the work. When it's sitting down to study or to do work of your own sort, and it feels a bit stressful, that's when you know that the discomfort and the pain that is associated with stress, you will come out a stronger person out of those things. You will come out a stronger, more capable person. And that is valuable to know. The third principle that I believe will help you in your journey towards fixing and facing your challenges and the hardships in your life is detachment. This is something that I've mentioned in a previous video. You can watch that if you want. And I believe I go into full detail about it, like an hour-long video about detaching. And I believe it is very valuable. So you should watch that. But just so I can give you some quick description of what it means, when you detach away from a situation, you're basically, when it's a short-term detaching, when you're detaching away from the issue in the short term, maybe it could be you're getting in let's say that you're in an argument with another person in front of you. And instead of you letting your emotions, letting this anger just getting a hold of you, and you doing stupid decisions, you saying something that you probably shouldn't have said. Instead of that, you physically take a step back. You physically take a step back. You broaden your field of view. You look around, you take in a deep breath, and then you proceed. Now that is detaching in the short term. That is when you have like a very dynamic situation in which you're in, which you cannot really change a lot about. this is what you do. You take a step back, you broaden your field of view, you look around, you breathe, and it helps you detach away from the situation in a momentarily phase so you can make better decisions without letting your emotions get the best of you. That is what detachment is all about. Long term, medium to long term, it's maybe actually leaving the problem's environment. If it's something that it's not very urgent, it's not an issue that is affecting your life in this exact moment in a very intense way, then you can detach by leaving the problem's environment, by going on a walk, by spending some time somewhere else, living somewhere else if you can. Maybe you can go to your grandparents or something, or you can go and spend some time with your parents, or if it's the problem with your parents, then maybe you go stay somewhere else for a little while. You get your shit together, you focus, you detach away from the issue. You know how everybody says think outside of the box? This is exactly what you're doing. The box itself is the problem. And you're always in the problem. You feel like you're in the problem. Well, you are. And you're going to be trying to look for solutions to the problem in the problem. If it were that easy, then we would all find the solutions to most of our problems already. If the solutions were in the problem. They're not in the problem, they're outside of the problem. And so you have to detach yourself away from the problem. And now you're here and you have a different perspective. This is what detaching is about. It's about changing your perspective on the situation. Now you have a different, you're here. You're no longer in the problem, you're here, and you're looking down at the problem. And you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, well, I could do this and I could do that. You calm down a little bit and you think to yourself, you have ideas coming in. And that's when you act. You don't act in the heat of the moment when you are within the problem. No. Again, if it's a short term, like literally physically taking a step back, like just doing this with your chair, I have literally broadened my field of view. You're understanding? I broadened my field of view, and this is literally biologically proved to help you calm down and to help you be more focused on what's going on in the present. You're literally, I mean, by doing this, I'm broadening my field of view. I see more, and I have a better perception on what's going on. I understand the situation in which I find myself in better. And you can do this mentally as well, Again, you can leave the problem's environment, you can be somewhere else, and you can look at the issue away from the problematic environment, and then you can find actual good solutions to that issue. This is basically what detaching is about. By detaching away from the issue, you can also figure out the gravity of the situation. And this is something important. Because when it's a problem that you're going through, maybe it's an argument with your friend, maybe it's an argument with your girlfriend. I'm gonna go with that example of your girlfriend with your girl, right? You're arguing with your girl about something, and it's just instead of you detaching away and thinking to yourself, well, is this actually an argument worth having? Is this something important, or is this something trivial that I could just simply fix with like 2 words? Like a sentence, and both of us would be happy and fine. But instead of you doing that, instead of you just kind of detaching away and realizing that if it's a trivial situation, it takes like 1 sentence to fix the issue. Instead of doing that, you just keep going in, and I've seen this happen so many times, by the way, and you've seen this as well, where people they're stubborn, you don't want to give up their ego, and they keep going up until they make a simple, trivial situation huge. It's no longer such a small, simple, trivial situation that you kind of like do this to. No, now it's fucking huge. Now it's something that you cannot even control yourself. A simple discussion, which is kind of a bit pissy, like between you and the girl, and you're talking there, and she's kind of a bit mad about this, and maybe it's something that you've done, right? She's a bit mad that you've done this instead of doing that, and you think to yourself, well, fuck you. I don't care. And you just go back at her, and you go back at her, and you're like, yeah, but well, maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe you shouldn't be like this. You've always been like this. And that's when things blow, and they get out of hand fast. Now, that's when that simple little trivial thing blows up into a full argument. That's when things really happen. That's when like bad things happen. And so, by detaching away, you figure out the gravity of the situation, you figure out that maybe this is something that I could fix with like a simple solution, like simple solutions to simple problems. But if you detach away from the issue and you think to yourself, well, what is it? Is it a small issue or not? And you realize that it's a big issue. Now that's when you think to yourself, well, okay, shit. At least now I know that it's a big issue. I have to approach it in a different manner. I cannot approach it as I usually have with other things because this is a big situation. This is a big problem to go through. This is something important. This is a serious problem. And so I need to take the proper action towards it. I need to take it seriously and I need to do all of this because sometimes by not detaching, you don't understand the gravity of the situation and you act like it's not a big deal when it is a big deal. When it can be a big deal, or where you act like it's a big deal when it's not a big deal, where it's just a small, meaningless thing. So it can help you appreciate the gravity of the situation. That's what detaching does. And you can determine how to react to that issue based on the level of importance it holds. Right? You gain control of your emotions. This is another great aspect of detaching. You gain control over yourself. By momentarily detaching away from the situation in which a problem finds itself, you are no longer caught up with the same emotions as before. No, now you get to take a step back and you get to focus on what's going on and think to yourself, okay, think. You're actually using your brain now. Before you were just letting your emotions just fucking surge you and use you as their vessel. I don't even know what to call it. You were their ship. You were the emotions ship, and you were just cruising down their lane. But now you're pulling yourself back. You've overthrown your emotions off the ship, and now it's your rational side of the brain. It's you saying that maybe if I say this, things are gonna get really bad. So maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should not say that. Maybe I should say this, and this will actually be helpful for both of us, for whatever, for fixing the issue. And that is the art of detaching. And that is an amazing thing that you can build. This is like, I want to really clarify this. This is a habit that you can build. This is something that you can perfect. That you maybe at some point you were like level 1 at, but you can get up to level 100 on it. No problem. Like it is something that you can work on. It's just like the gym. You start benching the bar. You literally cannot do anything else until you're literally benching like 100 kilograms. You're perfecting yourself. You're going up in ranks. This is what you're doing with the art of detaching. By detaching more and by being conscious of the fact that you're detaching away, that you should be detaching away and doing it, you're building up that habit. And I think it's something that it's really helpful for people, especially when you're going through tough issues in your life and you feel like you have no way out. That's when you detach away and you look back at the problem and you realize that you do have a way out. This was funny enough. This was the way that I started self-improvement. I went on a trip. I was lucky enough to be taken on a trip to the UK for a week, where I spent a lot of time just doing activities outside of my usual day-to-day basis 1 year and a half ago. And so I was there. I was doing all these kinds of different things and I was having a great time and I was enjoying myself. And sometimes I would think back on the situation back at home. I would think back on the way that I was getting bullied in school. I would think back on the fact that I was stressed out about my schoolwork. I would think back on the addictions that I used to have, the video game, the porn addiction, the shit people that I had in my life, the junk food, all of those problematic things that I just didn't enjoy doing, but I was doing them because I was addicted to them. I thought to myself, while I was in that different environment doing different activities, I thought to myself, why do I have to do those things? And at first, the first conclusion that I came to was with video games. Funnily enough, this was the thing that, like, this was the hardest addiction that I believe I could have taken away, on a normal day-to-day basis. But I was able to simply just quit one day from spending 6 hours a day, every single day playing video games. I'm not I'm not oversaying this. I was spending genuine 6 hours a day, almost every day, when I had the time to just play video games consistently. It was horrible. I have more than 7,000 hours in video games. That would amount to more like 10 months worth of continuous playtime. If I were to just sit on my computer, sit at my computer and play for 10 months straight, it was only then that I would reach the fucking playtime that I have. That is fucking nuts. 10 months of my life, almost an entire year of my life, has been taken just from video games. I could be, if right now we were to take away all the time spent playing video games, I would be like a 15-year-old. Instead of being a 16-year-old as I am right now, I would be like a 15-year-old. Isn't that fucking nuts? And yet, I simply quit this addiction one day. I thought to myself, yeah, I'm not gonna do it anymore. I mean, look at me. I've been spending 1 week without video games, without even thinking about playing video games, enjoying my existence here. I can do it. It can happen. And so I went back home and I thought to myself, I just don't feel like playing. And after like 2 weeks, I thought to myself, I'm okay. I don't feel like playing. I know it's bad for me. I know it's wasted. It's destroyed my life. I'm not gonna play anymore. And then I deleted all my fucking video game accounts. 7,000 hours worth of progress gone. Deleted my video games, everything. Never felt better in my entire fucking life. Never felt better and happier than then. That is the art of detaching. The fourth principle that I think will help you is to shut up and do the work. This is you can kind of tell from the title of the principle that it's something that it can be very not enjoyable to go through. Shut up and do the work. Oh my god, now it's no longer about the motivational speakers telling me to do this and do that, and fuck all those guys. You got this, bro. You're a lion. You're a beast. No, now you stop watching those videos. Now you fucking close your phone. You close your computer. You close all of that, whatever it is that's distracting you, and you focus on just doing the work. Right? This is when you face some uncertainty, when you face an issue in your life, when you're trying to do something, but you feel like there's all these kinds of different things coming from side to side. This is when you simply shut the fuck up and you do the work. This is when you face uncertainty from all these kinds of different sides, from within yourself maybe. But within yourself, also deep within yourself, that this is the right thing. And your rational brain is telling you that, hey, this will actually help you, and this is actually helpful, and you're gonna feel amazing by the end of this. And so you tell yourself, okay, I'm not gonna fucking listen to the bullshit fucking beliefs coming out from the outside and from myself. Because your brain will not always be on your side. I need to fucking clarify that. And so, when facing this uncertainty, you stick to the fucking plan. You stick to the plan. You go to the gym and you feel like, oh, I don't want to do this extra set. Or maybe, like, you're doing a set and you feel like it's really fucking painful. I mean, this has been happening to a lot of people, right? To everybody. When you start the gym at some point, everything is going to be painful. Everything is going to be painful. If you do it right, if you do it properly, it's going to be painful. And so, instead of just letting your uncertainty and all these kinds of bullshit beliefs telling you that, just 5 reps per set, when it's like you could have done like 20 reps, but you've only done like 5 to 10. You're like, yeah, that's enough, because it kind of burns. No, that's when you tell yourself, nah, shut the fuck up. I'm doing 20, and that's when you do 20, because you have no plan B, right? This is where I think we need to transition to the idea of the no plan B mentality, right? I've learned this from somebody who was a Navy SEAL. Speaking about this, he mentioned that when you have this mentality that there is no other way around it, there's no other way around the deal, you only have one plan. you only have one thing that you're focused on and nothing else. You don't have any fucking alternative. Oh, maybe if I do this and if it doesn't work out, then I could do that. And maybe if that doesn't work out, then I could do it. Shut the fuck up. Right? None of that. You only have one plan. And you focus on that plan entirely with everything that you're doing. You're spending every ounce of effort and attention into one plan and one plan only. No plan Bs, no fucking turning back. I know this might seem extreme, but this is the only way that you get to make good progress. If you want to make good progress on one goal, you need to understand, you need to push yourself to realize that this is the only thing that I have. If I don't do this, then I'm fucking lost. No wonder why people who are broke, who are facing some really, really serious problems, like life-threatening issues in their life, no wonder why those people, they end up building a successful career in whatever. No wonder why they end up living better lives than most of us. It's because they didn't have a fucking second chance. They didn't have some fucking side thing. Like, they didn't have a safety net. They thought to themselves, I'm doing this or I'm gonna end up dying trying to do this. And I mean, this could be like a bit extreme, don't want to fucking end up dying while trying to do something, but like that kind of mentality that this is it and nothing else. Now that is the thing that will bring you the most certainty, and it will make you understand that even when you're facing hardship in your life, even when you're facing problems, discomfort, that's when you understand that there's no other way around this. This is it. It might feel horrible in the moment to just know that you don't have a second plan, that you don't have a plan B. It might feel horrible, and it does. It fucking does. But when you think back on it, and you see just how much fucking progress you've made, just because of the simple fact that you've told yourself that this is it, and this is it only. I don't have a second plan, and if this fucking fails, then I'm fucked. This could actually go up with the second principle. You could kind of correlate with the second principle of the fact that, stress grows you. You're understanding the fact that by you setting this one, by you not setting limits to your beliefs and to what you want to do, and actually knowing that, actually taking up some risks with what you're doing. You're stressing yourself out, but you're using that stress in a productive manner. So you're thinking to yourself, this is what I'm doing. I have no other way around it, no plan B. This is it. One thing and one thing only. And this is what I'm doing. You know what? I think this best translates into living with a purpose in your life. Having a purpose in your life to dedicate yourself to live for. By not having like a plan B or some second idea that you might want to do, by just having one thing and just focusing on that one thing entirely and putting everything that you've got into that, you are going to make progress. Like, guaranteed you're going to make progress. Much more progress than you'd make just thinking, oh, well, if I do this and it doesn't work out, that I have this plan B guaranteed. You're not going to work as hard. Let's be honest, you're not going to work as hard when you know that you have a safety net that you can just kind of fall into, and you're not going to work as hard. You need to accept the discomfort of the process that you're going through with a smile on your face, because most of the time, in most domains of life, pain equals growth. There's probably certain times when pain won't equal growth. When you're fucking squatting and you feel like a huge fucking pain in your kneecaps and your knees, stop squatting, bro. Stop squatting. Fucking put that weight down, reduce the fucking weight, or maybe just see a damn doctor, right? Like, there are certain things where pain is just not needed, but they're like in the majority of things, in majority of domains of life, and you don't have to bullshit yourself, right? Let's stop bullshitting ourselves. In the majority of domains of life, pain equals growth. That's it. By you feeling that pain, it means that you're destroying your old ways and you're becoming a better person while doing that. And that's a beautiful thing to go through, man. You need to stop trusting your brain. You need to ignore the negative thoughts and the beliefs and the intrusions that will happen on behalf of your brain. They will happen, by the way. Don't fucking bullshit yourself. They will happen. You will have bullshit intrusions, like bullshit things happening, because your brain will just want to get in the way of it. Because your mind will want to be against you. Because your mind will not want to do the things that you truly know deep inside that you want to do. And that's when you need to just simply ignore. And this might feel like a fucking pain to go through, but you can do this. It just comes down to how much you can tolerate within yourself and how much you can ignore. And we can all tolerate a lot. And trust me, we can ignore a lot if we really know how to do it. If we really know that we need to do it, we can ignore a lot. So this is when you ignore your fucking brain, you ignore your fucking bullshit desires and all the things that are just on the side and they're useless. And you do the right thing. You work on what is hard, or what is meaningful, what it means the world to you. And you disregard the things that are going on in here. You disregard all the negative things about that. Ego and pride, all those different things, all those kinds of aspects of pride and ego, they get in the way of simple solutions to things, right? They get in the way of simple ways to fix an issue that could have rather been avoided by not letting all these kinds of bullshit, overconfident beliefs pile up in your brain, all telling you that, oh man, like a situation could have like a very simple solution to it. And yet you don't find it because you're overly confident. You're overly, I don't even know what to tell you. You're overly selfish. Or you just simply feel like as if it could not be this simple. Like it needs to be much more difficult for some reason. For some unknown reason, it needs to be difficult, but it's not. Or for some unknown reason, it needs to be easier than it is. And so that really refrains you from actually finding a good solution, which most of the time it is a simple solution. Most of the time it's something that you can implement in your life, and with enough simple hard work, you can fix. It's like a situation that with implemented with the right solution, with the right simple solution and the right simple process, it can be fixed. Right, and now we are off to the fifth principle of this video, and that is why we fight. A lot of us, to some extent, when we're going through issues, we just seem to forget that we are together with other people in this. We seem to underestimate the love and the support that we get from people around us. And granted, maybe some of you out there, maybe some of us out here are not surrounded by people who love them. And that is something hard to go through, and yet you can go through this. But I want you to understand that there will always be at least one person on this entire fucking world who will love you. And you just need to find that one person, and then you can grow that. You can find friends who truly mean the world to you. Friends who truly mean your life, who truly give you a reason to be here. You can find a love in your life who truly gives you a reason to be here. And you can find that love within yourself. You can find that friend within yourself. Most of the time. Always. And we need to understand why we fight. And one reason why most of us fight for everything that we're doing, let's not bullshit ourselves, it is that we do this, we do what we do for our loved ones. We do what we do for ourselves to some extent, but for our loved ones as well. This applies for self-improvement and all these kinds of other habits. But, when you're facing an issue and it seems very out of hand and feels like you're overwhelmed, this is when you take a step back, you breathe, and you think to yourself, what are my loved ones, who I respect, who I cherish, who I love, how would they go through this kind of a pain? How would they go through this kind of a situation? Would they approach it in the same way that I am? Would they take a different approach to it? Would they try to do that something else? Would they say something else? Would they act in a different manner? How would they do it? But and even and when you know what you have to do and how you have to do it, but you just cannot seem to find motivation to get to it. You cannot seem to find the drive. Think of your loved ones. Think of those people in your life who've been there for you, who've loved you. That those people who you love, who you respect, who you trust, who you cherish. Think of them and think of how your life and how their lives would be like if you were not to go through this issue. If you were not to fix this issue and you let this fucking issue ruin you. You know, this was what happened to me with video games, with porn, with junk food, with all my entire fucking addiction problem that I had. I had like 7 addictions at some point in my life. Horrible. And yet I found the strength to move on. I found the strength to pursue self-improvement. I found the strength to do those things by looking at my loved ones, by looking at my mom, by looking at my dad, by looking at my brother, by looking at all the people in my life, at my grandparents, by looking at those people, by looking at my uncles. I'm fortunate enough to have a beautiful family who cares about me, and yet I look to them. And you don't need to have like 50 different people, as maybe I do, that I feel motivated to work for. No, you can just find one person, or you can just find one thing, one object, something that you love and that you know to some extent they love you, or you know, whatever it might be. And you use that as motivation. You focus entirely on how you will fix this issue, or else things are gonna go shit, and that person who you love, they're gonna they're not gonna fucking profit out of this. They're gonna literally be in the same mode as you, if not worse. You know, with my parents, I thought to myself, if I'm not gonna quit my addictions now, if I'm not gonna get my shit together now, then my parents are gonna end up working 10 hours a day, every single day, for 20 more years, 30, 40 more years. Who knows? Maybe not 40, maybe not 30 exactly, but for a good 20 years, they might keep doing that. If I don't get my shit together now, they're gonna keep working for a good 20 more years, doing this shit every fucking day, wasting their fucking life away. I thought to myself, I am done with this shit. I am fucking done. I've been ruining my parents' life, my parents' lives, by being here, by not taking action for my own self, and not by not building my own self up. It was only then that I realized just how much they meant to me and just how much I meant to them. And I thought to myself, I'm not gonna fucking downgrade this shit anymore. I'm not gonna ignore this anymore. I need to take this seriously, and I need to understand that if I don't do what I should be doing with my life, if I don't take myself seriously and quit my addictions and get my shit together and be a fucking man for once, then my parents will never be happy, because I know that they love me and I know that they care for me, and I know that if I don't pursue a beautiful path in my life which makes me truly happy and which will help them, then they will never be happy with themselves. Not because, you know, that I won't help them, but because they won't see me happy with myself. And that's just a horrible, depressing life to go through. And so figure out who that person, figure out that motivation, figure out that person, that animal, that object, that thing that you respect and that you love and that means the world to you, and you work for that relentlessly. Relentlessly. You fix your fucking problem. You keep those people in your mind relentlessly. When the pain is at its fucking highest, at its hardest, you fucking keep that image of those people in your mind. You obsess over it. You know, there's at least one person out there who had who has it worse than you do, or who had it worse than you do. You know, take whatever problem in your life. I mean any kind of problem. I can guarantee that there's at least one person who has had it worse than you have. How did they go through that? How did they live through that? Well, it doesn't really matter how exactly, though it could help you out, but it shows that they have. It shows that the majority, like, there's at least one person who's went through your same issue and who's gotten out of it. Or there's at least one person who's going through that issue and who hasn't gotten out of it and who's fucked up, but you're here and you have like a less of a problematic issue and you can fix that means that you can fix it. That means that you can change this, and that means that you have what it takes to fix the issue, to fix the problem, and move on with your life. Oh, hold on a second. My fucking head is just crazy. I'm not sitting straight, bro. I'm not fucking sitting straight here. You need to be aware of your duty to the world. You need to figure out what your purpose in your life is. You need to figure out that one thing that you know will drive you in the morning, or you need to figure out that one thing which is already driving you in the morning. And you focus on that one thing exactly. That is one thing is your duty. It's your duty to achieve that one thing, that one purpose in your life, to live with your purpose and to do well by your purpose. That is your duty as a human being. You know, I have a quite a weird step here that I think could help you out. I haven't done this yet, but I am going to do it. So keep in touch with me if you want to see it. But I would tell you that you should write your own warrior code, your own ethos. You know how the military, how all these kinds of little places, all these kinds of not little places. I don't know why I mentioned that. Like all these kinds of factions and all these kinds of little, again, little. Why little? I don't know. All these kinds of gatherings and communities, and they have some sort of saying. They have some sort of message, some sort of warrior code, an ethos, a message that conveys what they have to do in its entirety. You know, thinking of the military, you know, they have their ethos that they need to be strong, that they need to be like this. You know, they have like, you can probably search it up in your country. You know, you can literally search up your country's warrior code, your country's ethos, and you'll probably find that all of them probably have one. You know, and that is the one thing that the members inside, this is what they need to be accustomed to. This is like that message, that code. It's like, the Bushido, that's the samurai code, right? That they were living by. You could figure out your own warrior code. You could figure out your own code that you could live by. You could write your own circumstances, your own approach to things that you should take in that warrior code, and then you should live by that code. You should follow that code like a religious person would follow their God. As I myself, I'd like to think that I'm quite religious, that I follow God. Although, I'm not great at doing it yet, but, I think that to some extent I'm going in that direction. Who do you want to be? This is one question. Who do you want to be that you need to kind of answer in your warrior code? And this, or it could be just something that you could journal about right now. You could take out a pen and a piece of paper and just write. Who do you want to be? As opposed to what do you want to do? A lot of people in their lives, they always think about what they want to do. Okay, I want to do this, and I want to make a lot of money, and I want to get the biggest car, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Who do you want to be? Okay, I get it. You want to do this and you want to do that. But who do you want to be? Who is the person that you want to be? Because a lot of people can get all these kinds of different things that you want as well. but who do you want to be? What do you want your personality to be like? What do you want your values to be like? What do you want your life to be like? What do you want the world around you to be like when you're that person? Who do you want to be? I have the sixth principle here. It's called be ashamed of your failures, learn from them. You know, it might seem weird because a lot of people will be like, what the fuck, bro? Be ashamed of your failures? What? Yes. You heard that fucking right. Be ashamed of your fucking failures. You need to learn from them. You should not dismiss your mistakes. This is the least productive thing that you could do. Dismiss your mistakes. You need to feel the shame of that mistake, and you need to fix the situation in which the mistake was made. When you feel like you're going through a problem and things are just simply not going right and you're just making a lot of mistakes and you're failing, that is when you should not just act with this bullshit attitude that everyone seems to fucking have nowadays. At least, you know, in the self-help, self-love community, which is, oh, you know, failure is part of the success, guys. You know, it's like failing is nice and it's cool because it helps you grow. Fuck you, bro. If you do not feel a sense of shame, if you don't feel like if you do not feel bad about failing, and if you just feel like, oh my god, you know, I failed, but you know, I relapsed on my no-fap, but you know, that's fine, guys, because you know, failure is part of the success. Shut the fuck up. You're never gonna get any better. How do you think you're gonna get any better with that attitude? It's literally, it doesn't make sense. It's stupid. You want to be ashamed. You want to feel that initial sense of shame, followed by rational thinking to help solve the mistake that you've made, or to help you not make the same mistake again, so that you do not go down the path of failure again. This is it. You need to think about your mistakes. You need to journal about your mistakes. You need to obsess over the things that you've done wrong. Get them in your fucking brain, ingrain them in your brain, so that you don't do the mistake again. So that when it comes to that mistake again, when it comes to you're in that environment or that situation in which you've done the mistake before, you're not gonna do it again. This time you're gonna think to yourself, well, I fucking ingrained this in my mind pretty damn well that I'm not gonna make this mistake, so I'm not gonna do it. Because you know, last time I did it turned out pretty damn bad, and I felt bad about it, and I don't want to feel bad about it anymore. So you don't fucking dismiss your mistakes. You think about them, even if it feels difficult to do that. You need to know that there's a balance to you feeling bad about failing. You know, I don't want you to be ignorant about it, and I've mentioned it before. Like, don't be ignorant. Don't dismiss the mistakes like it's nothing, right? Don't be ignorant, but don't be overly apologetic, and don't be overly fucked up about the fact that you failed. Because you know, if you're too ignorant, then you're not gonna make progress. And if you're too fucked up about it, you're not gonna make progress either. You need to be at the middle of those things, right? Between ignorant and too fucked up. You need to be right at the middle where you feel bad for making the mistake. You feel bad, you know, you feel like, oh fuck me, I made the mistake. You feel pissed off about it. But after that, you let that pissiness and that anger be replaced with rational thinking, which will help you avoid making that mistake again, which will avoid you failing again. You're responsible for the consequences of your action. I feel like this is a universal message that I've gone throughout this video. You're responsible for what you're doing. You're completely and utterly responsible for everything in your life. And I think this, again, you know, this could be quite liberating or quite imprisoning to know. This statement, you know, this fact. But it comes down to you. It comes down to what you do about it. It can be liberating when you do the good work and you feel like, fuck yeah, I've done something. I feel good. I feel amazing. I'm making good progress. That it feels liberating, doesn't it? But when you have been living a shit life, when you've been doing nothing but just wasting your time, knowing that you're responsible for the consequence of your actions, you realize that everything that's going wrong in your life and all the problems that you've been victimizing yourself for years, you're not the victim anymore. You're actually you're part of the fucking problem. And so this is quite an important deal to think about. Right, so those have been the 6 principles that I believe will help you out. I hope that I haven't made this very fucking long and very impossible to understand. It feels a little bit like that, but I'm gonna move on with it. Don't make the fucking mistake again, bro. Focus, learn from what I've done, learn from my mistakes, implement the advice that I've given you, because I feel like it's fucking helpful. I've learned this from other people and I've learned this on my own skin. I don't want you to go through this shit. So please learn. Take care of yourself, man. See ya.